What's up, Ragin Nation? This is Alex Yu. You're watching the Ragin Nation show Transformers 4 edition. That's right, I said Transformers 4 because this is a really exciting time for us Transformers fans because the production of the 4th installment of Transformers is underway. Now I want to make this my first official news update video for Transformers 4 because the videos that I posted before is more preliminary information, but right now in this video I have some substantial news for you guys because rumors are just rumors, but when I have something real and exciting, I gotta make a video about it. So let's make this Transformers 4 news update video number 1. Before I get into the big news, let's do a little bit of a recap for the events of the last 2 weeks. Michael Bay is just moving on to the editing phase of his little $26 million indie flick Pain and Gain, and right after that he's moving on to the launching of his 3 TV shows, and right after that he's moving on to the production of Transformers 4. One thing that Michael Bay mentioned in an interview is that he wanted to bring Transformers in a totally new direction which broadens the franchise to give it lasting legs. And what that refers to is 2 things, and that is the toys and the franchise itself. Hasbro CEO Brian Goldner mentioned that the toy sales for Transformers Dark of the Moon underperformed. And this is comparing to the toy products from the first Transformers movie and also Revenge of the Fallen. And I think one of the main reasons why the toy sales underperformed was because they kept on having repaints and just different versions of a previous character. And another thing was that there were Takara products that were released in Japan but never came to North America. For example, Deluxe Soundwave, Human Alliance Soundwave, Deluxe Leadfoot, and Autobot Q. These were items which really made the collectors feel that Hasbro was really dropping the ball on us. Therefore, the toy sales for Transformers Dark of the Moon underperformed. Because of that, they want to be able to fix that with the 4th installment of the franchise. So how do you fix that? And that is by following the exact same successful formula that worked for the 1986 animated Transformers film. They killed off all the characters and introduced a whole bunch of new characters, and at the end of the day, it was a feature-length toy commercial. The movie was produced to sell more toys, and that is no different with the production of Transformers 4. As we already know, they're going to bring in all new characters so that we'll be buying all new character toys. And I don't have a problem with that. I like that idea. Why wouldn't you want all new toys? Aren't we getting kind of tired of seeing another version of Ironhide or another version of Ratchet? I mean, how many different versions of Bumblebee do we really need? What that also means is that Brian Goldner has input in what goes into the story and script. And of course, the main input he has to talk about is the addition of new characters. So that's what's going on with the toys. As for broadening the franchise, what Michael Bay meant by that was that eventually one day he's going to step down from the director's chair. So that means he has to hand it off to another director. And one thing a director wouldn't want done to their baby is to not take care of it. Or in other words, screw up the franchise. For example, Lord of the Rings is Peter Jackson's baby. Avatar is James Cameron's baby. They're not just willing to hand these over to someone else to take care of. And Michael Bay won't be any different. So what he's going to do with the franchise is not reboot it. We already talked about this. It's not going to be a reboot. By bringing in all these new characters, should he decide to step down from the director's chair, the new director will be able to pick up where they left off. Remember, during the production of Transformers Dark of the Moon, Michael Bay mentioned that he wanted to end the trilogy with a bang, so that if you were going to have a 4th movie, you'd have to reboot it or start it up again. Well, that's no longer the case. Brian Goldner wants him to set it up so that if in the future he were to step down, the new director will be able to live up to the high box office standards of a Michael Bay directed Transformers film. So now that we got that information out of the way, let's move on to the real news. It was announced a few days ago that Peter Cullen is confirmed to be back as Optimus Prime. This is pretty big news. A lot of people might be thinking, well, we already knew that. How is that news? Well, let me tell you something. The thought of Peter Cullen coming back to voice Optimus Prime in Transformers 4 is big news. But the confirmation of Peter Cullen coming back in Transformers 4 to voice Optimus Prime is huge news. We just needed that extra confirmation. And now fans are at ease now. They don't have someone else voicing their favorite Autobot leader. Now the real news that I have for you guys in this video is something that you might not think is big deal, but it is big deal. Because when I report the news, I don't just provide my opinion, but I provide some extra insight on this. And I have some news that actually requires a little bit of insight as well. Remember actor Glenn Morshower? He played himself as a General Morshower. Well, he has been involved with more Transformers productions than any other of the main and supporting cast members. He was in Transformers 1 and also killed off, but he returned in Transformers 2 and came back in Transformers 3, and he was also in Transformers the 3D ride at Universal Studios. And during some downtime, Steven Spielberg was chatting with Glenn Morshower, and he said to him, "Hey, you know we've got you set up for Transformers 4 and 5, right? And that is your confirmation that Glenn Morshower will be back for Transformers 4 and 5. And some of you might think, well, that's not really a big deal because he's just a supporting character. Well, now here is my time to provide you with some insights. Remember when they said that they weren't bringing back the original human cast members? Well, this kind of defies that. Well, they're not bringing back Sam Witwicky, or Carly or Michaela, or Epps or Lennox, but they're bringing back General Morshower. To me, this is pretty big news because General Morshower is actually the commander at Nest. He doesn't in any way have any direct relation with Sam Witwicky, but he does have direct relation with Lennox. But Lennox is no longer here. So that's one piece of information that's curious. That means that Nest is back for Transformers 4. Now, another thing that this tells us is that the timeline hasn't changed. It hasn't fast-forwarded 30 years later, or it hasn't fast-forwarded like 100 years later. Remember Michael Bay said that they're not planning to reboot it, but they're planning to continue the series while keeping all the events of the first 3 movies as history. Well, the fact that General Morshower is back means that there hasn't been a whole lot of time that has passed by. The new story of the Autobot adventures will in fact take place in the same time zone and also will have Nest as part of it. Now, there is no confirmation of that, but the casting of Glenn Morshower tells us this. Now remember that maybe like 6 months ago, Brian Goldner said that they possibly will be doing Transformers 4 and 5 back-to-back. Now, I'm not saying that the casting news of Glenn Morshower signing on for a 4th and 5th Transformers film confirms that it's going to be filmed back-to-back. I'm just saying that there is going to be a 5th one. But if you have really been paying attention to Brian Goldner's words, you will know that he views Michael Bay directing the Transformers films as equating to successful toy sales. And what does that mean? That means Brian Goldner wants to milk Michael Bay for all he's worth. He really does not want him to leave this franchise because if he does, there's a risk of those toy sales going down. So what Brian Goldner wants is for Michael Bay to direct Transformers 4 and 5 back-to-back. And this news of Glenn Morshower signing on for Transformers 4 and 5 really adds to the confirmation of that. But this news still does not 100% confirm that Transformers 4 and 5 will be filmed back-to-back. Everything that I've been reporting just means that we're very close to that confirmation. Now, the last tidbit of news that I have for you is that Glenn Morshower mentioned that they will start filming this December. And this news actually adds more to the possible truth that Transformers 4 and 5 could be filming back-to-back. Because if you paid attention to the last 3 films, they start filming in usually spring of the previous year that it's released. So if the film is released in July, they usually start filming in spring of the year before. In other words, for Transformers Dark of the Moon to make the July 2011 release, they had to start filming in spring of 2010. And that's no different with Revenge of the Fallen. To meet the July 2009 release, they need to start filming in spring of 2008. So with the filming of Transformers 4 being in December of 2012, that means they're adding more time, and thus meaning more scenes. Because technically speaking, if they were only to film 1 sequel, they would start principal photography in spring of 2013 to make that July 2014 release date. But like I said before, this little casting news of Glenn Morshower being signed on for Transformers 4 points to the direction that there's going to be a 4th and 5th Transformers live action film directed by Michael Bay. And that's all I have to say in this video. I know it was just a little bit of news, but it just kind of manifested itself into some bigger news. So what do you guys think about that? Because I'm just doing the math. All these little calculations equate to that. I don't think I'm that far off. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more Transformers 4 and 5 news video updates, hit that subscribe button. If you want to chat about the production of Transformers 4 and 5 on Facebook, hit the like button on the Ragin Nation Facebook page. And if you have Twitter and you want to see some exclusive Ragin Nation Twitter updates, follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Transformers Bumblebee, the original price is $48.57. Save 47% off and get it for only $25.76.